Welcome to another episode of the Wood Couture Podcast, recording live here at Downtown Design. Thanks to our friend at LASVIT, we have the pleasure of having the company of the Rock, the real Rock, Rock Galpin from Rock Galpin Studio, London. Welcome to the show, Rock.
Thank you.
We are very curious to know all about the Rock. So, how did you choose to get into the design industry?
That's an interesting question. I suppose the quick answer is, as a kid of about 6 or 7 or 8 years old, in my bedroom, left to my own devices up there by my parents, and I used to take everything to bits. So electronic things, mechanical things, took it all to bits, created chaos that I then started to kind of build things from. So I suppose I've been always a little bit of an inventor. Cut to university. Art and design, science have always been, maths always been top subjects. So that really led me on to, father's an architect, combined led me on to, product design being a suitable way forward.
So the theme for this year Design Week is sustainability. What role does sustainability play in your business?
Good question. As a designer and about the now and the future, we're very conscious on how to conserve resources and how to produce products which are about a more responsible future. Obviously, one of the most responsible ways of looking at design is to produce really, really good design that really lasts a long time. Most sustainable product design that lasts, not something that you kind of recycle over and over again. So the last project I've just done for a company called Morgan Furniture in London was very much about that. Make once, make well, make it last, with the idea that obviously at a point where it does come to the end of its lifespan, that of course it can be recycled. But good design, I think, is first and foremost the better approach to sustainability than anything else.
I'm curious to know, in your business as a product designer, is the word value engineering comes to play? Like in the normal interior design for spaces? Has product the same challenges of the interior architecture that clients asking for value engineering, or is something that don't really exist in product design?
Of course value engineering exists. I'm not sure this is the answer to your exact question, but when we go through the design process as a designer working with a manufacturer brand, there's a point where the idea is being explored, it's being created, developed to the maximum point that it could be. And then there's a point where we stop and then say, right, we need to reach a certain price point for this product, to be competitive in the marketplace. So that's when the value engineering comes in. Very, very important, because otherwise it's just designing a product and it's going to cost X, and that's going to miss the mark completely. So value engineering essential to produce a commercially sellable product.
That's very interesting. Talking about the time we live in, the last 2 years have been very challenging for the design industry. What has been your biggest takeaways from this period?
I think this last pandemic years have been actually quite fascinating. I found them quite exciting from a design perspective, because it's allowed us to really truly reflect. The world has stopped still for a second and really thought about, what are the true values? What really matters? And we've realised what doesn't matter at the same time. Obviously the idea of the home, we've been on various lockdowns, and suddenly the home has become more important to be flexible, more important to cater for lots of different things going on simultaneously. Not just one person with a private study, but suddenly 3 people all working at home. And also living, how does that kind of operate? The idea of the office now is being put under question, because with mobile technologies, of course, we have the choice of, where we work, and we're so used now to working maybe from different environments in the home. So, what is the future of the office is an interesting question.
I wanted to ask you, what design trend do you foresee coming up in 2022?
I think trends for now moving forward, as I said before, I think we're in a deeply reflective time. And that takes us back down to true values, earthy, raw values which are about integrity, are about soul. So I think we're coming to a point where we're re-establishing what the true needs are, what the real needs are, and we're going to have an earthy time to reconnect with a sense of self, connect with a sense of each other, and how the best way to produce a new landscape, which actually is very much about that.
People define the time we live in the new normal, and people are modifying their relationship, the way they work, live and socialize. And what role do you think lighting is playing in this context?
Well, lighting I think is a very important aspect, because lighting is so emotive. You know, it's a little bit like music perhaps, you know, it shapes the way that we feel. Put a cool light on and we suddenly feel refreshed, invigorated, but we feel cooler, we feel colder. So, very simplistically. So, we've got lighting that's developing now to a point where it's become incredibly sophisticated, that really allows us to find ourselves in emotive spaces which are appropriate and more right for what we need to do in those spaces. So I think it certainly is something that can come from the true kind of integrity of what we need from that environment.
If I put a massive giant white canvas on top of the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, what message would you write in there?
What's the context?
Anything.
Anything.
Message for everybody.
Okay. Good design is absolutely phenomenal. We need to really believe in good design being the way to shape an amazing future.
You certainly rock the Wood Couture Podcast. Dear Rock, thank you very much, my man.
No problem.
Thank you.